Stephen, Representative Paul is also focused on the idea of a gold standard. Would you say that's the right way to go for the U.S. economy?
No, and he wants to end the Fed. I don't buy that either. But look, he just made the point in the previous segment that, you know, the political debate should be about ideology and philosophy, and that's a fair point. And he's got very extreme views on gold and the Fed that I don't agree with. But I respect his position and his willingness to debate these issues.
Okay, Ron, you have the floor. It's yours if you want it.
Well, the thing of it is, if you're not for a commodity standard, gold, silver, or whatever the market picks, you have to be for a paper standard. And the record for paper is a lot worse than the record for commodities. You know, if you have a gold coin from Roman times, it's still worth something. But paper money essentially always destructs. It self-destructs because it encourages politicians to spend too much and print too much. And that's why we have a debt crisis right now. So to argue against gold means you have to argue for paper. And if you're for paper, it's necessary to have paper to finance government that the people don't support. Otherwise, the people would just pay their taxes and fight these wars and support the entitlement system. But yes, the people want the programs, but they don't want to pay for them. And you have to have paper to do this. But paper will always end badly. And we're in the process of the end of this. The European currency, the only reason the dollar does so well is the European is such a mess over there. And we still have a bit of a reserve status. But I would think that defending paper is much more difficult than defending honest money. And besides, it's still in the Constitution that we didn't repeal that part that said that legal tender ought to be gold and silver.
Steve,
look, I think you're really overstating and exaggerating paper versus something hard. Under Paul Volcker, late 70s, early 80s, we had paper. We just had a disciplined, tough monetary policy that was aimed at squeezing a hyperinflation out of the system. Aimed at squeezing a hyperinflation out of the system. We need a responsible policy. It's not a question of hard or soft, gold or paper. We just need policy, discipline, and an independent Fed, not a Fed that is eliminated, as you have argued in your book.
But the purchasing power of the dollar, since the Fed's been in charge, we've lost 97% of it. The purchasing power of gold for thousands and thousands a year maintains its value. And actually, with increasing productivity, it goes up in value.
Ron Paul, stop right there. Let's get Stephen Roach's response to that.
How do you
is that right that we've lost 97% of the value?
Not even close. I mean, I would challenge the congressman's numbers. Not even close. I mean, I would challenge the congressman's number. How we lost 97% of the purchasing power of the dollar relative to what? The American economy has done darn well. We're having problems right now. There's no question about it. We went through a horrific crisis, and part of that, you're correct in pointing out, reflected irresponsible monetary policy in the years leading up to the subprime crisis. But to be on television and tell the American public they've lost 97% of the purchasing power of their currency is, I think, really irresponsible.
What about, when the Fed took over, the ratio was $20 to an ounce. Today it's $1,650 to an ounce. What percentage is that? That has to be awfully close. Is not quite as much, and you're right, you have to pick what you're comparing it to, but historically the best measurement of the purchasing power of a currency is gold. Just look at the disaster in the stock market today in valued in gold. If you ever look at that curve, in the last 10, 12 years, the value of the stock market is down a lot worse than the nominal value, let me tell you.
No, you're right about that, but again, to compare the purchasing power of the dollar for an average American to the price of gold, that a precious metal that he or she doesn't own, except maybe a few of them have it in their mouth, is I just don't think an accurate way to judge the strength of the economy.
Some economic laws that have been around for a good many years.